Hello, welcome to another edition of Kickback. I'm Tony Husband. We're presented by Renasant Bank. Alongside me, as always, our colour commentator, Jamie Watson. Coming up in today's show, we'll have an exclusive sit-down interview with Walker Zimmerman, who's just signed his new contract with NSC. We'll have more details of the club's return to MLS action, and we'll get more reflections on MLS's back as Jamie takes a look at it through buy or sell. First up, though, Nashville SC's return to play now confirmed, and it's going to be a busy month. Let's take a look at the games that the team will be playing as they get back into action after a long break. And Jamie, it all starts off with a doubleheader against Dallas.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves looking at what the games past Dallas will look like. I think first and foremost, it's important to focus in on what the next two matchups will be since it is the same opponent. Now, obviously, FC Dallas, similar situation with Nashville SC, unable to participate in the MLS's back tournament. So with that, there's got to be some games made up, right, Tony? Well, this is it. This is the first of the three that'll need to be made up. These two games are going to be important. And I think it's important to focus in on the same opponent, and it gives you something to actually work towards if you're the players. It's difficult to just train not knowing where the light at the end of the tunnel is, but now we know when and where Nashville SC will play. I think it's really important. It's probably changed the mindset of the players in training. And in order to dive a little bit deeper into the mindset of the players, we were able to catch up with goalkeeper Joe Willis to get his thoughts ahead of the matchup against FC Dallas, presented by Vanderbilt Health.
It's hard sometimes when you don't know when your next game is to stay motivated, but now that we have that, the energy level has been raised for sure. I think guys are ready to start kicking other people instead of each other. So we're gonna come out firing. I think the biggest thing is that you have to stay mentally strong throughout it. Whether it's us as soccer players or anyone in any other profession going through this pandemic right now, there's a lot of tough times. There's a lot of uncertainty, but you need to dig deep and find that motivation from somewhere to keep going. For us specifically on the field, I think it gives us a lot of time to, especially as an expansion team, it gives us a lot of time to kind of iron out some of the details on how we want to play and how we are going to play. So I think it's been obviously a long and arduous journey, but at the end we're trying to take some positive benefits from it and trying to come out better because of it.
Good to hear from Joe Willis there as he gets ready to get between the posts once more as Nashville returns to play. Right, it's time for our player feature interview brought to you by Jackson. And this week, Walker Zimmerman has signed a new long-term contract with the club. It'll take him through to 2023 with an option for 2024. He dropped by to join me in the studio, and that means that we followed all the protocols and masked up. And I started by asking Walker how pleased he was to make this long-term commitment to Nashville SC.
Oh, thanks for having me here. I've gotten to catch a little bit of the ones in the past. I'm obviously thrilled to be around, to be in Nashville for the foreseeable future. I know it's been talked about of how out of the blue it was for me to get traded to here. But I mean, having been here for 4 or 5 months in Nashville, in the city, around the team, around the staff, couldn't be happier to be here for the long term.
It's been an unprecedented time. Through this whole remarkable journey, has it strengthened your desire to succeed for the club and for the city?
Oh, 100%. I mean, just looking at a world without sports in general, I think you realize how much people just crave it and they want it, and they want to see players who've been, gifted in certain ways to just compete and give everything they have to represent their families, their cities. And so it's no different for us, having this little sabbatical of a couple months, and now here we are just chomping at the bit. Can't wait to get going again, and guys are ready for that challenge.
So when you sign a long-term commitment, are you thinking personal goals and team goals? How does it work?
I think it's both. I think it has to be both. I think anytime you look at a team success, you look at players are usually improving every year, and then the team is improving every year. So for me, that's no different. I have personal goals with club and with country, obviously with World Cup qualifying up ahead of us next June. And so that's a personal goal. And then, at a club level, it's about championships and trophies. And how can we kind of push this new club forward to make sure that we're competing for those.
You're very much at the core of the platform that Nashville SC is building here for the future. With that comes responsibility. How do you take on that responsibility?
Well, I think it's the same way that I have kind of throughout my career. It's a little bit different now being an older guy and considered a veteran, because I don't feel that way. Still feel young at heart, like a little kid, just playing the sport he loves for a living. But I think it's been fun to see and work on that part of my game as well. Especially you got young guys, especially young center back like Jack Mayer, taking him under my wing, fits there really nicely like a little brother, and get to kind of coach him around on the field. We have really good conversations. I've been really impressed with the way that he's just not afraid at all to ask questions. So we'll play a scrimmage and I'll get a FaceTime, 2 hours after the scrimmage, and we just talk through it, talk through different plays, talk through things that he did well, did not do well, things that I see in him. And, moments like that are ones that I remember when I was a rookie. I had Ugo Himelu, George John, Stephen Keel, shout out to our broadcast friend over there. That's part of the game is you get to get a certain amount of minutes in you, and then you can pass on what you're learning to other guys. You talk about that with a lot of passion. I mean, that to me springs leadership. You're a leader of men. Well, I think, that's a quality a lot of center backs have. You see everything, it's all in front of you. If you're not a communicator, but you're a center back, that's pretty rare. And so I take a lot of pride in that, a lot of pride in defensive shape and organization. And it makes me happy when the play's in front of me and I'm yelling to Dax or Godoy, like, left, right. And then they cut out the pass. Oh, I feel like a magician. I'm like, yep, did my part, got us going forward, like, well done. And those are the plays for me that get me excited, because I'm like, yeah, I did something even though no one would even notice. So those are plays that I get excited about. Well, leader and magician then. We'll introduce that in future. That's a little much. Yeah. That's a little much. Let's talk about the leader, Gary Smith. He's known as one of the best organising coaches out there, gets a very well stable side out on the field. What stands out, the work you do with him on the training ground, about his skills? I think that's a good way to put it is, we've learned being under Gary now for a few months that is a priority for him, is defensive shape. And with every club, you always watch, clubs from around the world and how they do things. And so a club that he's picked out for us is Atletico Madrid. And so if you just picture them and what they do and their defensive shape and their aggression and their organization, those are things that we're trying to emulate on our team. And so that's been clear through training sessions, through film, that we want to be organized, we want to be tough to break down. And ultimately, looking back at the first 2 games, I think you saw a team that was exactly that. Take us into the roster then. What is the mood now as you gear up for a return to play? I think it's exciting for everyone because, they're having to push themselves individually. Tons of in-home workouts, in-hotel workouts from Orlando. A lot of time away. And so guys are having to get into a place mentally that they might not have had to get to before. And so that's causing us to now get back to each other with enthusiasm and passion of being together again. And guys are pushing for spots. You're talking 4 or 5 months from our last game, and there's no set lineup. There's spots that are open for grabs. We haven't had a lot of experience as a club, so how you've pushed yourself in the past 4 to 5 months could get you onto the field. And so I think guys are recognizing that there's an opportunity to be had there, and are making it difficult for Gary. And you're going from this period where it's been all training, no competitive matches, to suddenly you're going to be playing a heck of a lot of games in the next few weeks. That's going to be a big change. It is, for sure. And I know that there's changes with, water breaks, substitutions, and that's going to be extremely important for us, especially coming into these first 2 games in Dallas. Not a lot of time to prepare, but neither have they. And so we're going to need everyone. We're going to need to rotate. We're going to need to have subs come on and make a difference. Going to make sure that guys are working for each other every play and don't leave their teammates out to dry. And those are the small things that, at the end of the day, can get you points in circumstances like this. You must be desperate to play again. MLS is back, has been going on now for several weeks. How much of that have you watched, and how much actually has it been an opportunity to scout the teams, many of the teams you're going to come up against? It's been a lot of fun, kind of surreal at the same time, because you're like, we are in this league, but you're watching so many games, but you're not there, you're not playing. But at this point in my career, it's so fun to watch, because pretty much every game you're having a friend or someone that you've played with, on TV that you get to watch. And so, I love watching my friends play and text them after and, ribbing them or congratulating them. And so that's been a lot of fun. And then also you mentioned the scouting aspect. You're learning a lot about different teams, about their shape, about their styles of play, and different individuals. Oh, like he's been doing this a lot. I'm gonna make a note of that in my head, and when we come up against each other later down the road, I'll know a little bit more about him.
There's no substitute, of course, for playing matches. So as you get ready to cross the white line again, I mean, what is the biggest challenge that you as a group are going to face?
Well, I think in the first couple of games, it's going to be fitness. I think it's something that you can train, you can do exercises and think that you're pretty much fit, but there's nothing like emulating a 90-minute game. And so, I think that's going to be a mental and physical thing. Is you got to push through it. You got to get through those first couple games so you get match fitness. We saw it in the Bundesliga when they returned to play. They'd had like 2 weeks of training and they were out there struggling. You got to know that there's going to be times where you're going to feel tired and you're going to feel lazy, but can you stay mentally sharp and physically push yourself to the limit to make sure that you don't give up on plays that can change the result of the game?
Sure going to feel good though to put the Nashville shirt back on.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be unbelievable.
Walker, great to see you here with us.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, not only a leader, but also a magician there. Walker Zimmerman talking to me here in the studio.
I mean, hey, by the way, flaming hot take. Really good idea to lock down that Walker Zimmerman guy. I mean, he's pretty good at soccer. My only complaint, the deal with the option through 2024, maybe it should have been through 2034. Could have been a good idea.
You want the guy, playing into his kind of Tom Brady vintage or something?
I just would have tried to sneak that in there. That's all. Just change that 2 to a 3. That's all I'm saying.
All right. We're going to line you up and get you ready now because it's time for Buy or Sell, brought to you by Hyundai. Jamie, this is where we're going to have a little look back at some of the big issues that have come out of MLS is back. First up, I want to ask you, Portland Timbers seem kind of early favourites with a bit of experience. Are you buying or selling the idea that they're going to win MLS is back?
While they're favorites maybe in Vegas, I'm selling this idea, Tony, because this is the MLS is back tournament, and everything that you thought you knew about Major League Soccer and the last 51 games has been turned upside down on its head. So why not the final? Why not Orlando City? Why not lift a trophy for the very first time if you're Orlando City? Good thing you didn't ask me if I'm buying or selling chances in the CONCACAF Champions League. That's a different discussion because I think Portland would maybe be better versed in that tournament. But let's get that moment of Nani lifting the trophy and Oscar Breja winning a trophy for Orlando. It would just cap off the chaos that has been this tournament. And why not Orlando City? I'm selling that because I want to see Orlando lift a trophy.
We have seen some great individual performances through MLS is back. So do you buy or sell the idea that the tournament MVP comes from the winning team? Buy or sell?
Ooh, good way of wording that. And I'm going to buy it because I think I know what you're getting at here, Tony. Each team, Portland Timbers respectively and Orlando City, have a player that I think could be the tournament MVP. But as of now, if all things are equal, which I think they might be heading into the final, it's either Nani or Sebastian Blanco that's going to be the MVP. Sebastian Blanco of the Timbers has 3 goals and 6 assists heading into the final, whereas Nani, 3 goals and 4 assists. If one of those players can be influential in the final and get their team over the line lifting a trophy, I'm going to buy the idea that whichever team wins, one of those players, either Sebastian Blanco or Nani, is the MLS is back tournament MVP.
Been a fun month of soccer to watch, I have to say. Some people saying maybe MLS is back, should come back. You buy or sell that idea?
Tony, I'm going to buy that idea. And I think if we can get through this tournament under these stringent circumstances in the midst of a pandemic, I think that this is a good idea to do in the future. But I'm going to put a caveat on that, Tony. I want to do this where we integrate Liga MX in this tournament. And I think if you take the teams that just barely miss out on whatever qualification process they have in their respective league to get into the CONCACAF Champions League, then you take anywhere from 4 to 6 teams from Major League Soccer and Liga MX, you put them in this tournament, you get massive TV deal rights for this, you open the doors to attendance when it's safe, and then you have the 2 teams that make it to the final qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League, sort of as a play-in tournament. You cross the 2 leagues. We've seen it work under these circumstances. Now, imagine taking these restrictions off, opening it to the public, and crossing these 2 leagues. I am buying that idea, and I think that would be a very fun way to integrate the 2 leagues.
Yeah, I think it needs that incentive in it to make it work, doesn't it? But it has been fun times. Jamie, thank you, as always, for joining us. That's it from another edition of Kickback. And, of course, we are back to play It's Nashville at Dallas. 7 o'clock our broadcast starts on May 30. Join us for that. You can also hear radio commentary on 94.9 Game 2. We are returning to play. Kickback will be back soon. From JB and I, goodbye.